Hi everyone, welcome to this card making video. I'm going to show you how to color stamps using a printer today. This is my printer. It's an HP NV5642. It is an inkjet printer. And I'm going to start coloring this test image with an alcohol marker. I assume alcohol markers are all the same in regards to coloring an inked image. I'm just showing you up close that this is working pretty well. I did get a tiny bit of bleeding, but honestly it wasn't noticeable. I'm using this blondish color to show you any slight bleeding, because obviously it's going to show up with light colors a lot more. And here I'm just trying to saturate the lines a little more. I'm not trying to be too careful here because I really do want to test this. So I am going over the lines. I think it looks pretty good. I saturated it even more at the top there with a darker color, and I didn't get any bleeding at all, really. Nothing noticeable anyway. And here I'm taking a watercolor brush marker. So this is a water-based medium, which is something I wanted to test. And here I am blending it out with actual water. And something to note about this image is I did let it dry for 24 hours before I started coloring on it. So here you can see with the water, I did get quite a bit of bleeding. I'm going to show you here a little closer. There at the bottom and then on the edge. I was actually a little bit surprised at how little it did bleed. I thought it would be kind of crazy. Here I'm going to color with the markers instead of blending it out with water. I'm just going to blend it out with darker colors, just like you would do with alcohol marker coloring, which is something you can do with alcohol marker or with water-based colors. It's just another technique you can do instead of using a brush to blend it with water. You can just blend it with the colors straight themselves. You get a much more saturated pigment when you do it this way. But I thought this worked pretty well. I didn't see any bleeding. I definitely think that could work for a whole image. But with these three, I colored them with my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, and it worked perfectly for me. I do a typical coloring. This is a free digi-stamp from Whimsy Stamps. This one is from Stamp Anything. And these were all free. I'll definitely put links in the description below. This little guy came in a set from Whimsy Stamps that also has a nurse and a doctor. My cousin's actually a paramedic, so I really wanted to send him that little guy. These are the sentiments that come free with the penguin stamps, which are really cute. I'm going to use the thank you for saving lives for his card. And then the I've got you covered is for the really cute dragon with the toilet paper around him. So to start putting these cards together, I'm going to cut a 110-pound card base. I'm going to cut it at 5.5 inches so that I can make a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card. And I'm going to score it after I cut it here at 4 1/4. And I'm going to use this watercolor paper from Canson. It's a really nice weighted watercolor paper that's cheap that you can buy anywhere, even at Walmart. And I'm going to tape it down to my desk, to my glass mat here, so that it minimizes warping. It will still warp a little bit, but not anywhere close to the warpage you would get if you didn't tape it down. And now I'm going to take this purple distress ink. First, I'm going to lay a wash of water down. It looks like I'm laying a lot of water down. I have to do this because I live in an extremely dry environment. And I'm going to take the color. First, I smushed it down on my glass mat, and now I just mixed it with a little bit of water, and I'm just very loosely painting it on my paper. My distress ink pad is actually very dry, so I had to go in with one of my real brush markers, but it's the same exact color as the Wilted Violet from the Distress ink line. So I'm just putting that color down very loosely, and then I'm going to dry it completely. And now I'm going in with a second layer and doing the exact same technique, just without the wash of water. So I'm just getting my brush wet, putting it in the color ink, and then putting it on my paper. And then I'm going to dry it again completely, and then going in with a third layer. And this is a really nice tone on tone look. You can get really great dimension with watercolor, even with only using one color, if you work in layers, which is something I really, really love about watercolor. Here I'm just kind of sopping up some of the very wet areas. And you can see there's some blooms in there, which I don't mind if I'm doing a background panel. I think it gives it some nice texture. And then that's going to be for my girl. So what I did here is I did opposite colors on the color wheel from the images I colored. So the orange will be for the blue penguin, the red will be for the green dragon, and the purple will be for the girl whose dress I colored yellow. Now I'm going to trim down my panels so that they are, I believe, 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. So just a quarter less than the full size background A2 size card. That way it fits in there nicely with just a small border around the edge. So here I'm going to take some double-sided sticky tape and put it around the back of my watercolor panel. Normally I would use my Tombow Extreme Adhesive for this. That's what I prefer to use on watercolor panels, but mine ran out and it's really hard to go to the store right now to get more. So I'm just going to use this in place. And I'm just going to place that onto my card base so that there's a little white border around on all 4 edges. And now I'm going to take some scraps of my fun foam and I'm going to cut them to fit on the back of my images. I'm going to do this for all 3. It's kind of a long process, but I am almost out of foam tape, so this is what I have to do. I would definitely recommend foam tape for images like this where you have to get in the nooks and crannies, because cutting out little tiny pieces of foam tape is a bit time consuming. So you want to glue down the fun foam into place, and then you're going to glue with liquid glue the back of the fun foam onto the card. So it is a 2-step process, whereas with, foam tape, it would be a 1-step process. So now I'm going to take my Gina K Connect glue and adhere that to the front of my card. And this one has the sentiment attached to the image, which is kind of nice. But there's all 3 of my cards finished. Thank you guys for watching, and if you are an essential worker, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you're doing right now. I know it's hard, and I'm really sorry you have to be out there in the thick of things. I hope everyone is doing well and your family's safe and healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all can take advantage of these free digital stamps because I think they're wonderful. And thank you so much to these companies for offering these. It's been really nice to bide the time coloring these in. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.